Hi, Allan. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, Prim. How are you? Prim, I can't hear you. I don't know if we lost you.
These students they are part of the MTN Youth Skilling Program, which is part of MTN Foundation. Can you hear me now? Hi, Allan.
Yes, I can. I hear you now.
All right,
Please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. All right. So I was just introducing the session. This is the first 101 session of 2022, and we're super excited. My name is Primera Modoni. I work for MTN Uganda in products and services, but I also support the MTN Foundation, MTN Youth Skilling Program, and with Nelson Munyanda and Brian Basta, and that's the team. We're so happy to be starting off the year with Allan. Allan works in the legal department at MTN Uganda, and we're so happy to have you today. Allan, the MTN Foundation, we have a youth skilling program where we have young people learning about how to do business really, really well. Last year, we have had the first cohort has ended, and now we are beginning the second cohort. So for the first cohort, we had what we call as technical skilling, 10 weeks of technical skilling. We went through a legal section, we went through marketing, we went through finance, we went through leadership, went through very many modules and learned a lot. So again, this year we are doing the same, but there's a question that has been lingering all the way through when the whole time we have been having different interactions with the participants. And one of the questions has been how to have a legal business in Uganda. Now, we have been encouraging them because part of the program is to ensure that they actually think in terms of being an entrepreneur and think about starting their own businesses. For those that don't want and still want to stay in employment, we have said it's fine. But for those who want to be self-employed or to start something on the side, we've been trying to encourage them to be legally organized in a legal way. I personally have had my own businesses open in Uganda, and there is a lot of misconception around it, a lot of lack of information. So that's why we want to have this session with you today. Most of the businesses we've been talking about, especially in the last week, have been a lot of home-based industries and home-based industries that are beginning to grow a little bit. I'm a carpenter. I have a carpentry business. It's small. I'm probably working offsite within my own home. I have a bakery business. I'm making cookies and delivering them. So how do I start a business in Uganda without so much money, which is what we're struggling with? I don't have so much money. I have a salary, a small salary that I'm earning every month, and I have to meet my needs, but I really need to grow another business on the side that's actually going to give me some financial independence. Now, I want you to introduce yourself, and I want you to also introduce your other life before you became a lawyer, because it's very important in this conversation today. You're welcome, Allan.
Okay, thank you very much, Prim. I'll see how to introduce myself and stop there without going into the topic of discussion this afternoon. You're welcome to those who are joining us. It's good to have you. And I am very delighted to be here to share knowledge, experience with young people. I am Allan Mwase. I work with MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited, the legal department. I'm a legal and regulatory advisor. And that is a role I've been doing for the last 1 year. Briefly about my life before getting into legal practice. I did computer science at Makerere University, graduated, and joined MTN in 2012. I'm one of those lucky ones who graduated and after a couple of months got into a good organization to work with. And from that time, I've been growing as a computer scientist, but also as a revenue assurance and fraud manager. And while there, I discovered many things. That there are several things you can do with yourself, or I could do with myself. And that's how I started my pursuit of a career in legal practice. And as having gone through the process, the law degree, gone to LDC, I'm certain several of you heard many things about LDC over the last 6 months. I think starting June, there's a lot of chaos about marks, results, and all these things. But I'm grateful to God that I got through, and here I am to talk about legal matters, but with a technology background and an understanding of telecom business, but also digital services as we know them. Over to you, Prim. I hope that is brief enough.
Thank you so much, Allan, for that introduction. So the first time I met you was when you were in finance department, and then you took time out to learn legal. So young people out there, you can actually have 2 different careers. And now I would just have a question about starting a business scrappy. How do I start a business without so much money in Uganda, and yet at the same time be compliant to the legal systems in Uganda, opening a business?
Okay, Prim, I had prepared a small presentation. I don't know if I'll be allowed to share it.
Yes,
to just highlight a couple of things quickly. So I request if I'm allowed to share my screen, and that way we'll be able to do this better. Am I allowed to share?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. So there we are. I hope that is, I'll put it in presentation mode. So we're opening a business legally in Uganda. That's the conversation we'll be talking about. But we'll start by what is a business and what types of businesses can you do in Uganda. So when business generally, it's a trade, an occupation, or a profession. That is a definition in one of our acts, the Partnerships Act. And then a business is any form of organization that uses resources or inputs or ingenuity to produce services, goods and services or services in exchange for money or other goods or services. So once you're doing something, what people normally these days call side hustles, you're putting in resources, you're doing certain things, and then you're providing, there's an input. It can be your time, it can be your skill, it can be your resources. And then you go out there and you produce certain services or goods that other people enjoy. And for that service or good, you receive money, or you receive other goods or services. Literally, you're paid for the services that you're offering. Then you're in business. So however small it could look like, if you're going through that process, you're in business and you're the right person for our audience today. Now, there are different types of businesses that you can run in this country. You can do a sole proprietorship. That is where you're an individual and you do things on your own. It can be a company. Company is high level. I'm sure there are public, private companies, etc. But a company is separate is a separate entity from you as a person. So you run it really separately, and it has its own life. It has its own processes, systems, just like a person or an individual would be. You have partnerships. You have a partnership where I, Allan, and Prim choose to go into business together. We produce something. We use our time. When Prim goes to represent or offer services out there, I share in what she's doing, in the business she's bringing. We share the profits, we share the costs, we bring things together. Then there are joint ventures or consortiums, and then there are other entities through which we can do business, clubs, circles, and etc. Now, you need to determine the entity you want to open. So we've talked about the things that you saw in the slide before, which are, is it a company you want? Is it a partnership you want? Is it a sole proprietorship that you want? What kind of business is it? But what would guide you in making this decision? One, you will, based on what you're doing, you'll need to find out why you're opening the particular entity. What will serve your interests the most? Yeah, what will serve the things that you're doing? Before you decide to say, let's open this business in Uganda, let's open a company. Why are we opening a company? Yeah, why are we doing a partnership? Why is it I and Prim doing a partnership? Why am I going solo and doing it on my own? Why am I getting into a circle? Or joint ventures are a bit high level, because normally it's between government and private entities or two companies coming together to offer a service. I think you've heard a lot of this if you've been following the oil and gas debate. There's been a lot of promotion of let's pool resources, let's pool skills to provide the service that is required, because several people can't do it alone. Then you need to ask yourself the liability, who will bear losses in case you're closing, or who will bear the responsibility for things that the business does if you get into issues where you can't pay your creditors, or when you get in trouble. Who is responsible? Who will be liable? Who will be responsible for cleaning up? So that takes you to either limited liability companies limited by guarantee, or even as a partnership. I will be responsible. Me and Prim say we're going to do it. We're going to get into business, but Prim will bear 60% of any liability that we have, and I'll bear 40%. Normally, that will also follow the profit sharing, arrangement or ratio. Then, how do you plan to raise capital for your business? There are levels at which you need to either change your business model or your type of business, because there are limitations that come with each type of business. When you're a sole proprietor, when I'm alone and I'm doing business in my own name or in my own, capacity, there are banks I can't go to and knock the door and everybody will open. Yet when I go to those banks with a company or with a partnership or with a joint venture, so two companies are coming together, the banks might open their safes and give me the resources I need. But also, as a sole proprietor, there are things I may not be able to say, let me get people to buy shares into my business as a solo guy. As soon as that happens, then I need to open it up to a sharing model where someone buys in, or and that is how I'm planning to raise capital. Then you need to think about the level of management and governance that you can afford for your business. There are things that you will run around as a one-man business, or what people most of the times call side hustles. You're the CEO, you're the CMO, you're the IT guy, you're everything to the business. It's not because you want it that way, but because bringing in other people at that level requires a lot of cost. And therefore, it's okay to run as an individual solo business, and you're managing your costs and you're trying to make it in our country where we are hustling every day. Now, what are the benefits of doing a business legally in Uganda? When you get legal status of your business, you obtain your legal identity. So if we choose any of those models up and you say, this is the identity I want to have, when you get your business into a legal space, then you get legal identity and status. Allan, as Allan, if I'm doing my business and I'm selling stuff, I'm running a popcorn machine across my home or my veranda, in as far as the law is concerned, it's me who is doing the business. It's me who is responsible. I am responsible for everything that happens to the business. Without me, the business is literally dead. So yet you can separate your business to an extent and give it its own identity. Say, I'm trying to get a name, but I could give my business any name. And so this is the identity of this business. This is its state. Then you look after it differently. Then you safeguard your business name. I have a colleague who registered a business called Mandas Enterprises, and he called it MD Enterprises. And Mandas, you know, there's a lot of, we have Mandazi in Uganda, and people buy them, eat them, and all that stuff. So for him, he just said, I'll go to and register something called Mandas. Man and D does. So he has that name as Mandas Enterprises. If you went to the URSB to register a similar name, you may not get it unless it's out of business. However much you're doing better Mandas than he is, or you think that name would work for you. So you safeguard your name when you give your business a legal identity and you register it. Then you access opportunities like loans. At the time, I spoke to that colleague of mine while we were preparing for this session. At the time, he was forced to register because there was a grant that was being offered by Centenary Bank to small enterprises and to youth who were getting into enterprises. If without the name, they were not giving him any funds. Without business, without you presenting that you're a legally registered entity doing business, the following business in Uganda. So when you register your business, you'll get access to certain funds, you'll get access to certain tenders for those who are into big business. You'll also get financing. It could be from friends, colleagues, could be through selling shares or whatever it is. Then you'll obtain licenses like the trading license or the TIN for your business, not for you as an individual. And any other businesses that you need, any other licenses that you need to go forward. I remember participating in opening a company called Amweba IT Solutions. And before we opened the business, we used to struggle with banking and where do we put the money and what licenses do we need, where do we pay taxes? And there are some people who would not take our business model or would not access our services because we were not defined as a business. So they would put us out. But once you have your own identity, or if your business has its own identity, then there are doors you will be able to knock and they will open. Then you market your business better and you improve your competitiveness in the market. It's no longer Allan Mwase selling in the marketplace. It is Amweba IT Solutions, it's Mandas, it is Ubunifu Systems, it is MTN Uganda. When you hear MTN Uganda, you don't think about the people behind and all these things. MTN has become its own identity. It means something to some people because of the services it delivers, but because it has been registered as an entity in its own right, and it's separate from all the other people that play within there. So to take this home, I recently had a son a few days ago, and while thinking about this conversation, I thought a business is like a baby. A baby, once they're born, you give them a name. you will define, you will try to create, so they are their own person. They have their own system, their own body system. They, of course, the guy has been with his mother for the last 9 months and has been attached to that extent. So that happens to what business owners go through. You are attached to this baby that you have for a while, this idea, this concept, you want to do it, and it's intriguing. But there comes a time when that idea has to be clothed differently as a child or as an entity on its own. And then as the parent or as the entrepreneur or as the business owner, you look out for this child and go through stages of growth. Now, that is what happens from a legal point of view. When you go and register your business and give it its own name, you give it either directors or managers or people who manage it and all these things. And then you work through it as it grows. Now, you imagine a child that stays in their mother's womb for 15 years. They're still attached. They're not going anywhere. The mother thinks they can't let them out into this gruesome world and all these things. That's what people do to businesses when they don't legally give them an identity or a status. When we hold on to all those ideas, and as soon as you're out of here, it goes with you. You think about the Mukwano enterprises, the Mulwanas of this world, and the businesses they set up, and why these things have been able to outlive them. They groomed these ideas, transformed them into something, created a system around them, legally created them or put them into the legal space where they can exist without them. And now we can celebrate nice plastics, we can celebrate Kakira Sugar Works, we can celebrate even MTN Uganda. There are people who may not be, who were part of this journey at the beginning, but they let it go. And now it's much bigger than those individuals in just their capacity. So that's what happens when you let a business or when you register a business and give it its own identity. Now, to get a business name, this is what we talked about with Prim, and I'll close it at this slide, and then we'll have, I think, a discussion on any other items that will arise. At the bare minimum, make sure you name your business and register that name and give your business an identity. Yes, you're doing your popcorn store, you're doing your shoe business, you're selling your shoes, you're doing, whatever business you're doing, give it a name. My friend was doing mandazi. He would pack them in bags and sell them. But he named his business MD Enterprises, Mandazi Enterprises. And up to now, if I was to resurrect that business, or if I was to participate in it, I don't have to participate necessarily with him. I asked him to go to the legal framework, the framework within which he created, and ask, how can I participate in this business? The business can be sold if he thinks he needs to sell it to somebody else. The business can, it can change shape from just a business name that has been registered, because that's the beginning part. From the baby stage, you have a business name. You say, okay, my business is Mandazi going forward. Okay, I register it. You go to URSD, you pay for research, you pay the registration fees, you obtain a certificate of registration of the name or of your business name. And from that moment, you cease to be the one. Allan Mwase and Mandazi are two different things. Yeah. Then from that point in Uganda, if you're going to do trade and any kind of business, you'll need a trading license within the region that you're operating. In Kampala here, you'll go to KCCA or you'll go to their regional offices, and you'll obtain a trading license that says, no, you are okay to do this kind of business in this place. For tax purposes, you can go to URA. Actually, it's an online process now, and you apply for a TIN number, or a TIN, sorry, and you're able to, your business becomes a taxpayer, separate from the individual. Now, from a business name, once you have your business name registered, you're saying I am Manda's. That business then can be converted into several things. From just a business name that is doing trade, it can be converted into a partnership when other people come in and then you choose, let's do a partnership deed. Let's register as these are the rules that will govern our partnership. This is how we share profit. This is how we share liability. Let's go and do business together. Now, still that is a bit informal. We manage ourselves. It's formal, but we manage the business from a partnership point of view. It's not separate from us. And in case of anything, the partners are liable. Same thing with the business name. If the business has an issue, you, the owner, or the person who registered the business will be responsible or liable for anything that arises. But then you can convert it. Now, the journey continues. You've moved it from just a business name to a partnership. You brought in more people. Then you can say, okay, let's move this thing into a company, limited either by shares or by guarantee, depending on what the questions we raised up. What are your what kind of business are you into? What do you want to achieve? What level of governance can you afford? What do you want to see happening? Recently, so before I go to that example, so then you go to that limited liability company. We have shares. We have so many shares. There's a whole process of registering a company that is properly laid out on. I would encourage you to use the URSB site. It's very, very interactive, and the instructions on what to do are very, very clear and simple. If in doubt while on that portal, you can always consult an advocate or a lawyer to just guide you through to ensure that everything you need is in place. So when you're transforming it into a company, you're now saying we want this thing to be separate from us, have its own life, its own governance, its own management. I mean, a company can be sued and it can sue in its name. It's a person for all intents and purposes, but just not a human person. So then it transforms to that. It can be private for starters, between me and the partner or me and somebody else. We are now the shareholders. We are the ones running the business. Now, I was going to give you the example that now, because of certain rules, licenses, etc., a business like MTN Uganda has recently, we were going through an IPO process, and our business transformed from it's been a public company. In fact, when it came to Uganda, it was once a private limited liability company with specific shareholders who would make the decisions on the business, and that's how it was. Now it has been transformed into a public listed company. And that means that there's more players that can come in, there's shares that can be sold on the stock exchange, etc. So all this is a journey depending on what is happening in your business and where you want to go as a business. So you getting your business legally registered is a very, very, very important thing, because like I mentioned earlier, your business is like a baby. If you keep it in the womb for long, you know what will happen to that baby. It can't stay. Actually, most babies don't stay for too long. They will get out at the right time. So when you legally register your business, based on the steps that we've shared, what you do with URSB, the reservation of the name, the search, then you get a certificate of registration of name. Then we can go through the process of getting a partnership. It has more details that are required there. There's then for the company, there's also different arrangements that needs to be followed. But all that is to enable your business have its own life and live aside from those who are the owners or the vision bearers or the people who started it. I thank you very much. Prim, I hope that gets us started with the conversation.
Yes, it does. Yes, thank you so much. I'm just going to go back a little bit to the last slide about business. And there's something I just want you to clarify a little bit. When I open a business and converting it into a company, and how easy is that? How easy is that?
It's very, very easy. you'll simply provide a certificate of cessation of business. So you release the business name, and then we go through the process of registering, because now your name is the name has been availed to you, but you release it and then you reserve it again for yourself. And then we get the memorandum and articles of association drafted or developed. Then there are several there are forms for the appointment of directors. There is we pay the fees for registering a company, which are a bit different from the ones I've just shared, because here I was just limiting it to business name. We have shareholders, we have nominal share capital. We're saying, okay, our business is worth, the shares will be this amount of money. Based on that figure, you'll pay certain stamp duty, and it will also determine your registration fees. But it's really a simple process, because already the beauty with it, and I would want to talk from a business point of view, not legal. The beauty with it is you've already tested the waters in an environment that is not as highly governed or highly managed or the processes are a little different. You've been on your own or with a partner and you're doing business. But now you're trying to say, we can now appoint a CEO, we can appoint directors to manage the business on our behalf, we can appoint a CEO to manage the business on our behalf. There are other people that, and then there's shares. So there are other players coming in to enable decision-making. So the conversion is pretty much just getting the company registration process going. There's a Form 18 application to register a company. You have your MEMAT ready. You provide for the appointment of directors and secretaries, and then you pay the fees that are required. Your name is already, you searched for it and you've reserved it, and then you have your company on separate from you and your shareholders. Still, that's still happening at URSP.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Then I have a it's too long. Is that a myth that we all have? Like, we are so stressed out when you think about opening a company.
It's not long. It's not really long. When I was talking to my colleague who did Mandas, at that time he simply went to the URSP office in what was the place? I think Kasubi, somewhere in Kasubi, Nansana. And at that regional office, he got his name registered that same day. It was just an online process. He simply signed the form. There's a form that you sign, which has particulars, the kind of business you're doing, etc., etc., and the name that you have, or the name that you're choosing. The name was searched for in the register, and it was available for issuance. And they had their certificate the very day they went for it. In fact, immediately after that process, they moved to get the trading license, because all that was happening at the council offices.
All right, so that was for a business name.
Yes.
That was for a business name. So there is no reason why we should not have a business name for the bare minimum, at the bare minimum. All right.
No, not at all.
What about a company? How long does it take? How long has, like, in your own experience?
Companies don't take long. Most of the times we think these things will take a lot of time, and because our world has changed. There's an e-portal on URSP, on the URSP website, and several of these things can be done. You just need to be getting the receipts, generate the receipts on the URA site, then you go to URSP and you make the payment once you make the payment to the bank, you enter the things online, and you're good to go. So within a day, for example, you'll have your search results at URSP to know whether your name is available or not. You have then it is reserved. And once it's reserved, all you need to do is to submit the different required documents, the memorandum and articles of association. Those are things I think that normally take time, because you as a business, you need to review them, make a decision on whether they represent what you want to do or how you want to govern your business. So with once that is done, once that groundwork is done, then the process itself at URSB is quick. It shouldn't take you more than a week to get your company registered.
All right, then I have quite a number of questions for you. So the other question is about using the word limited. Can I use the limited in a business name, or does it have to be a company?
Limited means something. Yeah, limited is simply about liability. So when you're talking about companies, you're talking about when you're saying limited, that means there's a limit to the liability that can fall upon the shareholders or the guarantors. So we use it in two senses. You're talking about a company limited by guarantee or a company limited by shares. When a company is limited by shares, it means the shareholders, if a company was to go insolvent or was to choose to close shop and there are certain liabilities that it still holds, then the shareholders will need to pay up to the amount that they have not yet paid in shares. If, on the other hand, the shareholder already paid up for the shares that he holds, then there's no liability that befalls them. Same thing for guarantors. Most churches, NGOs have companies that are limited by guarantee. You say, you open the company, I will guarantee 5 million shillings if any liability arises for this business at the point of closure. And those are the terms in which we use the word limited in company names. Otherwise, your enterprise or whatever name you have is good to go. When you talk limited, it should mean something legally. You just don't put it in your name.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I have an interesting question. Two people have asked, Ronald and Eric are asking the similar question. They said they want to open a company, but what they know is that it's very expensive to get a lawyer to support, especially when you're trying to draft the memorandum and articles of association. Tell us, you are the lawyer.
Very, very expensive is, I think, is relative. It depends on who is saying it's very expensive. Some people will say very expensive when they are willing to pay up to, say, 2 million, and someone else is saying very expensive when they're saying I can only pay, say, 250,000 or whatever. First of all, there's I need to just confirm, but I think there are several templates for MEMATs either on the URSB site, because the URSB has tried to simplify these things for everybody, because it shouldn't be short of not marketing my legal colleagues. It shouldn't be very, very cumbersome to incorporate a company. I would need to check and be certain, but I think there should be a template for memorandum and articles on the URSB site. And once you look at those, what your lawyer is trying to do is to ensure that you're covered in terms of the things you want to do, in terms of the object. Because if you say you're, for example, MTN Mobile Money is a fintech company, its objectives are stated in the regulations or in the National Payment Systems Act. Now, if you're dealing with a company like that, then you need your lawyer to review and make sure that you're not adding things that the law doesn't allow you to do. If you're dealing with very specialized businesses, but general business, general enterprises, the memorandums and articles of association typically have a clause that allows you to venture into any business that could that fosters the purposes for which you're doing business. So expensive lawyers, because of MEMATs, check the URSB site, look at the templates that are there, review them on your own. You're the business owner. Just think through it. Then get a good lawyer. It could be expensive or may not be expensive, but my experience is please get a good one who will look through those documents and ensure that you're covered in all ways. And then once that is done, you should be able to register. It shouldn't cost a lot. It depends on the lawyer you're dealing with. Sometimes it's the expense, their experience, and their costs, because they're also in business. So I will not say this is the cap or this is the minimum or this is that, because legal practice is business. So you come to me and I'll give you this price, and you go to another lawyer and they'll give you a different price. Although these are also determined for lawyers, these are also determined by our remuneration regulation. So expense, I think sometimes we don't want to do a little work in terms of reviewing the templates and stuff before we go to lawyers. You want the lawyers to do the reading for you, to do the understanding for you, to do the vision setting for you. Now, when you do that, they're going to charge you definitely. But if you have something to start with and you're saying, please review this, how do we build on it? How do we adjust it? I think that should take your costs down.
Thank you so much. Then Ronald is asking if he can use this opportunity to take advantage of your help as a lawyer.
The terms of reference for this conversation was to share, I think, according to Prim, I think it was not to take advantage of me. So when you come to me, you'll be charged as should be.
All right. Maybe you'll give us an MTN Youth Skilling Program code.
Maybe
so when I give you that code and you will know that I attended this session and I'm part of the MTN Youth Skilling Program, then we can have a better conversation. Yeah. Ronald, you've heard it. I'm here bargaining for you to get, because I know you're on the program. Because I know you're in the program, I will bargain and get something. Then there is a question about shareholding in a business. If you're two people and we're opening a company, we are still shareholders. It's not a partnership, right? So in terms of their shareholding, do we split shares 50-50, or is it better if one has more shares than another? What happens in that instance? What is the best practice in that instance?
I would advise that there is a controlling shareholder for decision-making purposes. That would be my advice. When you're at equal footing, sometimes decision-making becomes difficult because everybody's saying, but I have 50, you have 50, so who makes a decision about this thing? We've not agreed, we've disagreed, so who's going to take responsibility for making the call? So in practice, you'll rarely find companies that are at 50-50. Normally there's someone with 51, 49, and it's for really decision-making purposes. But also, shareholding is not simply for prestige. Shareholding means risk as well. The higher your risk, that means the higher your shareholding, and that also should translate into your decision-making power in the company. It shouldn't simply be, we are all, yes, I have 70% and I'm bringing 70% investment into this business, and then I make decisions at the same footing as another who has 1%. So the debate there is normally the higher the risk, the higher the shareholding, but also the stronger the decision-making power that person will have. So I'd recommend that there's always a slight adjustment to ensure that decision-making is a bit easy. We are human beings, and shareholders need to make certain key decisions for the business. They need to vote, but some votes are weightier than others. They are heavier than others. So don't say let's be equal from the go. Sometimes some decisions have to be made, and some people have to have the power to make the decisions over others.
All right. So I have questions around business name again. So if I have a business name, and I've actually tried it out, and it was there was a problem in there. So I opened a business name, that's from my own experience, and then I went to the bank to open a bank account. And the business name had 2 people in it. And because of the simplicity of the business name, the bank sent me away because I could not open a bank account until I came back with a partnership deed. Oh my goodness. I hadn't prepared for that. And it's the same question I'm getting, like, what happens in that case? If I want to be able to trade or be able to do more things with a business name, what is the importance of me now trying to create a partnership deed with the person with whom I have opened a business name with? Remember, because the documentation is much less than the company.
Yeah. So this is what you have a business name. It will normally serve you if you are alone with ease. But as soon as there's somebody else involved, then the recommendation is simple. It can no longer be a sole. It needs to translate into a partnership, especially if you put the names or the particulars of the owners of the business name as more than one person. Because that means you have rights to the name, and I too have rights to the name. And that means there should be something that guides our relationship in terms of what we're doing. And that definitely takes us towards a partnership and not just a business name. So, and the partnership is really, you need to have a meeting of minds. You agree this kind of business you want to do. You choose, the key thing about them is choose your partners wisely. It's like a marriage, because they can make or break you. So you have to choose your partners in business very, very wisely, especially if you're going to do a partnership. So, and once the bank sent you away because the question is simple. How is this account going to be managed? Is it a partnership account? Is it one signatory? Is it 2 signatories? On what basis are you going to manage this account? Because we are seeing that this business name is registered under 2 people, which infers an existence of a partnership. And so you need a deed, and then you go through the whole registration of a partnership. Prim, you're mute. You're mute.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allan. You answered the question around the price of opening a company. So it basically depends on so many things.
Yeah.
There was a question around that from Austin. It really depends on so many things. It would be nice to just talk to a lawyer to be able to help you understand so that you see the price point. And then I have a question about opening up an NGO. And then you have an NGO running, and in it, you are running business, services that are earning you profit. For example, in the instance of the question here is you have an NGO, and then you're making furniture, for example, but you are selling the furniture. So you're making, you're making revenue. So how does that work? Do you still register an NGO, or do you register a for-profit business? How does that work? Because the benefits of also the NGO it has its own benefits in terms of receiving funding for the projects you're doing. Yeah.
You have to tread carefully when you get into NGO business. As you've noticed, I think over the media and all these things, there's a tight regulation on NGOs and what you can do. One of the things that NGOs are sometimes given are exemptions on taxation because they're not for profit. There are certain preferences that they will have or receive. Now, once you get into for-profit, I would recommend that you have a separate entity that does for-profit, because now that business has been set up. Yes, it's owned by the NGO. The NGO is not a for-profit organization, right? But if it does not, then a different entity is responsible for the business aspect, because that
Hi, Allan. Okay, I think we've lost Allan. Just give him
I think I dropped off.
yes, a little. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't notice. But so what I was saying, I'll just go back from the top, is once you're getting into for profit, if you're coming from an NGO side, the company that is for profit has a different regulation that governs it. It has different tax requirements that it needs to meet. It has different governance requirements that it needs to meet. So if you mix them, you'll get in trouble. They have to be separate. You have your NGO doing its own thing. Then you do the company. It will account differently. It will report differently. It will produce differently. And it can give or donate to the non-for-profit business. And there'll be benefits for that, but it has to run separately. As soon as you try to mix them up, there'll be issues with the different regulators.
All right. Thank you so much. MTN Foundation, separate completely if they're working. One is not for profit, one is for profit. Yeah. Then I have the last question for today.
Yeah, Prim, just to add on to that MTN Foundation question that you raised, and that is what has that is what keeps the foundation operating the way it does. Because as soon as the foundation starts doing things for profit, then the game changes. It's receiving money from a profit organization which created it for that purpose, and it does activities for benefit of others. The day it starts doing things for its own benefit, to earn money, to earn all these things, then the outlook changes. It ceases to be a non-for-profit organization. So it has set up something separate to do the for-profit business.
Yeah, MTN is the perfect example of that. They're able to run both. And I have one more last question for you for today. And then the question is about extending jurisdiction of a business. I have seen myself, have experienced it, people who prefer to open businesses in countries that they feel have better regulation or are better for them. For example, I open a company in the US, I can open it in another African state, Mauritius, Nigeria, South Africa, and then I also come and extend jurisdiction in Uganda as a franchise. Is that a nice idea?
It depends on what you're trying to get in creating those multiple companies or multiple businesses. Just give me a minute. So I was saying that it really depends on what you're trying to achieve by creating a multiple business or businesses in different jurisdictions. Normally, what you're required to do is, for example, in Uganda, if you incorporate a company in Kenya, you're allowed to register it in Uganda to do certain things in Uganda. There's certain things that a registered business can do that an non-registered business will not be able to do. There are certain benefits you can get while you're operating in Uganda as a company, things to do with leasing, land ownership, up to specific land ownerships that you can get into. But if you don't transform your business into a locally registered business, you will not be able to do some of those things. Then there are businesses that plan around taxing based on the tax benefits that they'll get from different jurisdictions. And so they'll incorporate in particular countries, say Mauritius or certain countries, but that is really for tax planning, not to evade tax, which is unlawful, but to plan their tax and ensure they can manage their costs, but also for stability. There are countries where you're certain that your company will thrive and survive, and for listing purposes, you may want to list on the New York Stock Exchange or in London, and therefore you have your business incorporated there, registered there, but you have operations across the world. It's a global thing now. So depending on the interests that you have and what you need to look carefully at what you're trying to achieve by registering your business in different jurisdictions or incorporating it in a different jurisdiction and then doing business in another place altogether.
Thank you so much for spending your 1 hour with us. I will just call upon 2 people. The first one is Nelson. We are on the same team, project team from MTN Uganda. Nelson, you can just say something small, you can just say hi. We have just finished our 1 hour listening about building our businesses legally in Uganda and opening them up. And I've learned a lot. I still have so many questions. Allan, you might have to come back. You might have to come back, seriously.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's fine. I think we can, whenever the opportunity arises, we can share.
All right. Yeah. All right. Nelson, are you there? Are you able to say something?
Is Nelson there?
Yeah, I can see him.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just wanted to hint on something that there's if Ephraim Mangeni asked what do they do when they need a trademark, I think that one you just visit your lawyer and they should be able to guide you on getting a trademark registered in Uganda, but it's the same process. It's also on URSB. You can get use of that URSB website. You'll see guidance on getting a trademark registered, but you can talk to a lawyer to help you.
I think he has dropped off. I'm going to see if he comes on. I just want to invite Mukalu Mohammed. So on the MTN Youth Skilling Program, we also have an alumni program. So everyone who has finished gets into a post program where they are together and they get to build activities together. So we also have, they have their own leadership, and Mukalu is here. He's the president 2021, 2022. And I wanted to invite him to give a vote of thanks to you for coming through. Mukalu.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Mel and Nifu MTN for thinking about young people. Long live MTN Foundation. When I saw the flyer and read the name, like it was really familiar because it sounds like my uncle. I have my uncle called Mwase, so I was so excited. Thank you so much. I'll say my uncle, Kata say that name. You've done us good service. Thanks so much to everyone who have spared time and data. I know how data is costly. To join us, we have been many of us. And these are sessions that we need because our country is in a crisis of having genuine businesses. There are so many businesses, but they have so many questions. So the country is struggling to make sure like our businesses are formalized, but also people have businesses, have reservations why they don't want to do this. So to the program, like this is something we need consistently because it desensitizes a number of fears in young entrepreneurs, people are doing business, but also like questions like how do we run like social enterprises and register them, because everything that is being managed should be able to benefit our nation. To me, I'm so happy and I'm so proud of this program. To those members who have joined, wherever you've joined from, like, please allow this information to grow. Whenever you see a call from this program, we get expertise, people like who really care, who do a lot of research. So thank you so much again, our facilitator today. Thank you so much, the organizers and the participants. This has been so well delivered for God and this country. Like, we are so happy for this. Thank you so much, Mel. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mukalu. I see, thank you so much for the work you're also doing there with the alumni. Nelson, I see that you are back. I hope you are able to speak this time. Okay, so here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Premier. Thank you, Allan, for having time to share with us. I'd shared my appreciation in chat because I was not able to join, and also been juggling here and there certain things. But nevertheless, my audio was on. I was following closely about registering a company and the nitty-gritties around it. Oftentimes, people do not want to get an address or get businesses that are registered. But it's very important for you to be able to break into the bigger deals and the bigger businesses. To the alumni, please keep looking out for these sessions. These sessions are one in a million. You'll never find them anywhere. But we're trying as much as possible to tap into the expertise that we have at MTN to share with you. Prim, thank you very much, and Ubunifu for putting this together. And we hope to see more one-on-one sessions coming up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nelson. He's project manager for this program. Thank you so much for coming through, for listening through. Thank you to the Ubunifu team for organizing this, Oluka, and the rest of the team. Egumire, thank you so much for organizing. Thank you so much, Allan, for showing up and for giving us some of your knowledge. We definitely will need you some other time. Ronald has asked so many questions and he's on the program, and I will sure talk to you about it. He also wanted your contact. So because I have the emails, I'll be able to send them the emails if you are able to give us your contact that they can reach you at. Thank you so much, Allan. And this was a lunchtime session. And thank you so much. And